Hey everyone, it's Austin Chang. I am a gastroenterologist, and like everyone else, I am deeply saddened by the news of Chadwick Boseman's passing at only age 43 yesterday. But first and foremost, I do want to say that my heart goes out to the Boseman family, and really, Chadwick Boseman is obviously an icon, and his impact extends beyond Black Panther, beyond all his other movies, so I think it's really important for all of us to respect that. But I think that part of his legacy will also be through his story impacting many people in the future in preventing colon cancer from happening, hopefully, and helping drive a movement towards preventing and treating this terrible disease. As usual, I'm not Chadwick Boseman's doctor, and I also urge you to always consider who you're trusting online. So these are my credentials. There's a lot of misinformation out there, so please be careful who you're trusting, and always ask your own personal doctor whether or not something applies to you specifically. So like I said earlier, I think that for people who are unfamiliar with colorectal cancer, Chadwick Boseman has certainly raised more awareness about the condition, and hopefully it'll give us a chance to learn more about it. So I have 5 quick lessons about what colon cancer is about, and these are also the most common questions that I get asked on my social media platforms, which you can follow over here. Okay, first, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the colon, basically if you think of our gut, it's a long tube starting from our mouth, down the esophagus to our stomach, and then 20 feet worth of small intestine before hitting the large intestine, also known as the colon. So if you look at this little plushie here, the small intestine connects to the colon. At this point, the appendix comes off of here. Sometimes this can get inflamed and people have to have it taken out. Food and stool passes into the colon, and your colon is responsible for absorbing water and some other nutrients here and there, but it solidifies and your stool moves out, down into the rectum and out your body. So the first question I often get asked are, what are the symptoms of colon cancer? And I think the important thing to keep in mind is that, as you can imagine, a tumor takes time to grow. By the time people start developing symptoms from a cancer, it's probably very far along because the tumor has grown to a point where it's actually causing these symptoms. But some of the common symptoms, especially that we think of when it gets to that point, is bleeding from the rectum, change in bowel habits or the appearance of your stool. If it's very narrow, it's natural to have changes in the size and appearance and consistency of your bowel movements, but if it's a consistent problem over time, it might be something worth checking out with your doctor. And another thing that we sometimes see is unintentional weight loss or losing weight without actually trying to lose weight. The second question I get asked is, how did Chadwick Boseman get colon cancer because he's so young? I don't know what his background is, whether or not he has a family history of it, if it runs in the family, if he has any other conditions that predispose him to developing colon cancer. And the fact of the matter is, we have been seeing an uptick in the number of young people developing colon cancer in their 20s and 30s. Why that is, we don't know, but we're seeing it more often now, and a lot of people are looking into it because it's obviously a concerning trend. And on that note, the number 3 question that I get is, how do I prevent myself from getting colon cancer? In the United States, we have recommendations to say that at a certain age, you should start getting screened for colon cancer. And typically that means getting a colonoscopy. For some people, that age starts at age 45. According to some guidelines, age 45 applies to everybody. Other guidelines, it only applies to Black individuals, whereas everyone else starts at age 50. But if you have a family history or some other condition, that age may start even earlier. Sometimes the recommendations will say 10 years before your earliest relative was diagnosed. So please ask your doctor when you should start getting screened. Now, how that screening works is typically with colonoscopy. And what a colonoscopy is basically inserting a long tube with a camera on the end up through the rectum and taking a look through the entire colon and checking to see if there are any precancerous polyps that we can potentially remove and lasso off. Now, there are other non-invasive ways of testing for colon cancer, like a scan called CT colonography, or a test of your stool to check to see if there are traces of blood or cancer-related DNA. However, it's really important to keep in mind that those non-invasive tests often don't pick up early polyps. The whole point is to detect things early. And the second thing is that non-invasive tests don't allow you to actually go in and remove anything. So that's why we typically recommend colonoscopy if you're able to undergo one. The fourth question I often get asked is, how do I decrease my risk of developing colon cancer? Like I said, fortunately, colon cancer is one of the few cancers that you can actually prevent by getting screened with a colonoscopy. But how do we even prevent anything from developing before that point. Generally speaking, it's all about healthy habits. So it's about not smoking cigarettes, it's about maintaining a healthy weight because obesity is a known contributor to increased colon cancer risk. Also, decreasing your intake of red meats. And the fifth and final lesson that I want to cover today, which I think is really important, is the idea that Black men and women are disproportionately affected by colon cancer compared to other races. And no one knows exactly why that is, but it's likely a combination of many things. Decreased access to care, existing biases within the healthcare system where doctors aren't appropriately recommending screening strategies to Black individuals, and perhaps different attitudes towards healthcare that Black individuals have. So there are a lot of things that play into why Black men and women are disproportionately affected, but we're becoming increasingly aware as a medical field. So hopefully this type of disparity will be reduced in the future. All right, that's all I have for you today. Please leave your questions in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It would really help me out. And also please subscribe by clicking the red button below and click the bell icon to be notified every time I post a new video. Thank you for joining me today. Again, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. You definitely inspire me to continue the fight against colon cancer and raise awareness on platforms like these. I'll see you all next time. Stay healthy.